Hey, it's Theo and thank you for joining me. And today we've got 29 changes. And yeah, that is a whole lot, but yeah, I think this meta kind of needed some changes. And here we have the patch note for them. Now, they might look a little bit different than usual because Chris05 put them together. And yeah, thanks to him for doing this. So we have a nice visual to go over the patch notes. So let's get started. First of all, the dev comment. With the launch of the Lost City of Angoro last week, our primary goals for this patch are to fuse power into several of the new cards and to tone down some older decks and early outliers. We're doing buffs earlier in this expansion cycle because we can see from the early data that many of the new cards are not meeting expectations, and that nerfs alone won't result in the changes we want to see. So that's true usually, yeah, it's only nerfs in the first patch, but yeah, it's pretty obvious those quests especially need some buffs. And yeah, that's what we'll be seeing. Most of the quests are getting buffed. But also, yeah, I think this patch is big, but it's going to be hard to have a completely balanced meta after this patch. I feel like it's probably going to need one more patch for a balanced meta, but we'll see. Maybe the meta is super balanced after this. Let's hope so at least. And let's get started with the nerfs first of all. And there we have Load on Living Legend getting nerfed from 7 mana to 9 mana. And yeah, this is obviously a problem. Why do we make these cards? Every time to make these cards, it's a problem with mass mana cheat. So yeah, I'm glad this card is probably dead. Plus 2 mana means it comes down 1 to 2 turns later, and that kind of kills the card because before you play low, yeah, the deck kind of does nothing, right? It has a lot of expensive minions you don't play before turn 9, and yeah, if you have to wait another turn or two, yeah, you don't really do much, you just get killed by a lot of decks. So yeah, I think this should probably kill the card, but I think I'm kind of happy about it. Then we have Ballhawk getting nerfed, going from 3 damage on the Death Rattle on Battlecry to 2 damage. And yeah, I think this card won't be played in aggro anymore. It needed that extra damage. 2 is not quite enough. It kills a lot less now. It often killed like a 3-health minion. Now, yeah, it doesn't. 3 over 2 is a pretty big break point. What it does do, however, is make the quest maybe for Demon Hunter be able to play this. I still think it won't do it. It's not quite enough. Like 4 mana, I get only 2 procs in the quest. It might not be enough. Though yeah, of course, yeah, after the quest it is deal 4 damage to lowest health enemy twice. That might be enough healing for the deck to survive, so that might be a little bit of a buff actually to the card, but we shall see. Now, that's not the only nerf Demon Hunter got. We also have the Sock Puppet Slither Spear going from a 1-3 to a 1-2. And yeah, this card was pretty strong on turn 1. Like, you don't kill it right, it basically doubles every attack damage the Demon Hunter can get, and yeah, they can get it pretty easily, so it makes sense to yeah, reduce the snowball potential of this a little bit, or at least make it easier to kill so it doesn't just win the game when it gets played on turn 1. Now we have another change to a rogue. It's the Ever Burning Phoenix going from a 2-2 to a 3-2 N. It now says return this to hand at the end of the turn, which means it gets unbanned in wild because there was some infinite combo with Umbra, so you could keep spamming this with Knife Juggler forever, and with some animation cheating, yeah, that was infinite damage. In standard, that means Psycho Rogue is getting nerfed, and you can no longer spam Phoenix in the same turn, kill it off with like backstabs or managers, and keep playing it and keep drawing cards over and over. I think that's good. I don't think a deck like Psycho Rogue is very healthy when, yeah, you could get 2 giants on board as early as turn 4, and this was a big part in it that you could keep drawing with this card for 0 mana, so yeah, hopefully that slows the deck down a little bit. Then we're going to Paladin, and Paladin is getting a few nerfs. First of all, we've got Aegis of Light going from 1 mana, summon a 1 cost to 2 mana, summon a 2 cost. So it's kind of a bit like the Bitterbloom Knight now, a 2 cost, though this gets taught, but stats might be different, right? But yeah, for 1 mana, this was very powerful in both a Drunk Paladin and Imbue Paladin, and should slow down it a bit. This card was a little bit maybe too efficient for what it did, because it did quite a few things for 1 mana, and yeah, should nerf both decks a little bit. Now, of course, the big one people have been waiting for is the Murloc Paladin getting nerfed. And here we have the Hot Spring Glider getting nerfed from reducing the next Murloc by 2 to reducing it by 1. Which means if you play this on curve, you can no longer play the Tyrannogill the next turn. And yeah, that's a pretty big deal, right? Turn 4 Tyrannogill was insanely strong. So it requires another turn, and yeah, just a little bit less Murlocs you can get on the board with -1 mana. Also, there's another nerf to Murloc Paladin we'll get to later with the Brain Gill, which is, I think, a bigger nerf than this one, so we'll get to that once we get to the neutral cards. Then we have, for Death Knight, the Brittle Bone Buccaneer getting nerfed from a 1-4 to a 1-3. And yeah, I never got why this at 4 health. Like, a card like this that just snowballs if you leave it up. Having 4 health, I don't think that is great. Like, yeah, there's not really a whole lot that deals 4 damage on turn 2, so it's almost always survived, and then you get reborn, and then maybe you can't kill it again and get more reborn on your death rattles, and then yeah, it just snowballs completely out of control. So I think this is a reasonable nerf to the card. Then another nerf to Death Knight is the Guiding Figure, going from 2 mana to 3 mana. And yeah, with all the other cards getting nerfed, makes sense to also nerf the Starship Death Knight, because just that Brittle Bone Buccaneer is probably not too big of a nerf for it. And yeah, it makes sense to nerf one of the Starship pieces plus 1 mana, and turns out it's the Guiding Figure that gets nerfed, so now both Death Knight Starship pieces are 3 mana, so you can no longer curve Guiding Figure into the 3 drop, so that should be a bit of a nerf, slow it down a little bit, and kind of prevent maybe those early big starships like on turn 6-7 already getting 10 drops. That probably won't be happening anymore. Now let me get to a nerf I'm very happy about. It's Murmur getting nerfed. It's getting the Narrowlex treatment where now only the first Battlecry minion each turn cost 1, and yeah, again, just like with Low, why do we keep making these cards? Every single time Blizzard makes these cards that make you able to cheat mass amounts of mana. It gets nerfed a couple of patches later, so why do we keep making this? It just has a very toxic play pattern. Like, this comes down, the whole board is full for the Shaman, potentially buff the whole deck, get like 15 mana after that with Ysera and Shadow Block. Just not a healthy card to have in a game, so I'm glad this basically should kill the card. Then we're getting to Priest, small nerf to Brain Masseuse, going from 4 health to 3 health, because Menagerie Priest was one of the best decks, and yeah, this card was, I think, the best card in the mulligan, because again, just like the Brittle Bone Buccaneer, 4 health early on, yeah, no deck can really deal with it, so this card was kind of unkillable early on, so this should make it a little bit easier to counter the Priest in the early game. Now, another nerf to Priest is the Wielded Shadow, getting nerfed from a 7-7 to a 6-7. While nerfing it by 1 attack might not look like the biggest nerf, it does change a few breakpoints for the deck, because currently at 7 attack, 6 bandages can kill you on turn 7 with just 1 Wielded Shadow. Or if it gets buffed by the Birdwatching, you only needed 4 bandages to win. So now you need at least 1 more bandage to win, and yeah, that requires a bit more effort, and that should definitely slow it down, because yeah, getting out the gate on turn 7, it doesn't quite feel alright. Then, like I said, the neutral nerfs, we have the Brain Gill nerf going from a 2 mana 2-1 to a 3 mana 3-2, and it now gives only the death rattle to other Murlocs. So first of all, you lose a card roll, because it doesn't buff itself anymore, and then it costs 1 more mana, and then yeah, stats are increased, but that's not too relevant, I'd say. But yeah, this is a pretty big nerf, right? Just 1 less card, 1 more mana. That really makes the card a lot worse, especially in the slower matchups where you could draw like 4 or 5 cards easily with the Brain Gill. Might just be like 1 or even 2 less cards, because you have less mana to play another card with it. And it should make it easier to actually run the Murloc Paladin out of cards, because yeah, they never really ran out of cards while getting those increase in stats all the time. So yeah, that's I think there's a pretty big nerf to it. I wonder if you're still playing it. You probably still want the card roll because you don't have too much, but yeah, if the meta is very aggressive, it might actually be a card you don't want anymore after the nerf. And the last nerf we have is the Menagerie Jug, going from buffing 3 minions with +3/+3 to +2/+2. And yeah, that's a pretty big nerf. I'd probably rather have seen it +2/+3. I think this just puts it back to the old version, which probably makes it unplayable. But yeah, a lot of Menagerie decks were on top, and if those decks continue to be good, it was also hard to see some new decks, the quest decks, see a lot of play. So yeah, I think it makes sense though. I think it was better to make it +2/+3 here. Now then, let's get to the buffs, starting with the Priest quest, Reach Equilibrium. Now only requires 4 spells each, so yeah, that should make it a little bit faster, but like I said in my video about the quest earlier this week, I think the card is just missing a deck to be put in. Like, I think the quest award is still good, but yeah, there's just no Control Priest. It's Control Priest is just lacking so many things for it to be a good deck. So yeah, I think that's still going to be the main problem, but now it's a little bit easier to complete it. Then we have the Death Knight quest, and this one is an interesting change because it actually removes a Blood Rune card from the quest, so you can play it now in Rainbow or 2 Unholy decks. Now, I'm not entirely sure if this other decks really want it, because yeah, losing Cartoon Mulligan for a slow card like Tyrex, like, I've been playing with it, but yeah, it's just so slow, like almost no game it's actually gonna be relevant. But maybe in like a more aggressive deck, you could put it in now without the 2 blood roots. You could play it. Also, yeah, the spent corpses is going down from 18 to 15, so it should be a little bit easier. So maybe now you can play it in like more aggressive decks, so you always have pressure in like the mid-late game with this card, because in a control deck it felt really too slow to really be worth it for just an 8/8 and then deal 4 damage. Then we're going to the Shaman quest. Now it's getting 2 buffs. First of all, we have the quest itself going from play 7 minions to play 6 minions. And then we have the quest reward now getting Rush. Now I think the biggest change obviously is the play 6 minions instead of 7, because yeah, 7 different minions was pretty difficult. You kind of had to play Amalgam often to be able to complete it. And that's not really the best cards that you want to be playing. 6 cards should make it a bit easier, and being able to have Echelon come down a turn earlier is a pretty big deal. Will it be viable? I'm not sure, but it should have definitely help getting to that point. And then the Echelon Rush, yeah, it's nice, at least having immediate impact. Also, because you get the adapt right, you're often looking for Divine Shield, you can immediately kill a minion and still have that 8/8 on board, so that's also a nice buff to it. Then we have the quest for Hunter Shock getting buff, and now you can discover the beast instead of getting a random one, so that should be a lot better, because you're getting stuff like Octozari. Not ideal often, so now you actually can get the good beast with it. Like a lot of the wild cards are really strong, so yeah, this is a nice upgrade to it. But again, yeah, the deck didn't have the highest win rate, so I'm not sure if this will actually get that, but it's a good start. Again, just makes the card a lot more fun to play with, and you don't really get annoyed if you get that Octozari again. Then a buff to Titanographer Us, going from 7 mana to 6 mana and 6/6, and yeah, I feel like this one, yeah, just getting it to discover. I discussed it on stream. It's a little bit hard to do on the text to make it discover, so it makes sense they buff it, but yeah, I still don't think it's gonna be a great card. There's too many Titan abilities you don't want. You only get to use it once, so yeah, it's unlike the Titans, it's not really a threat on the board. So yeah, still don't think it will see play, but hey, at least if you want to play it, it's slightly more playable. Then we're getting to the quest rogue, and it's getting multiple buffs. First of all, Master Dusk goes from 5 mana 5 armor, the quest reward. Is now 3 mana 8 armor, so this makes it a lot easier to actually play the card when you complete it. And you get more armor, so more survivability. But yeah, quest rogue at about 20% win rate. I don't think this change is gonna make it suddenly playable. This is not enough, because often the problem with this card was just being able to actually complete the quest. And well, yeah, it's now easier to play it. Yeah, just I don't think this is gonna suddenly more than double the win rate. And we also have Oppo the Unseen actually becoming unseen with stealth. Yeah, actually, it's fine. I mean, a little bit of a buff. Not too big, I'd even say, but yeah, I guess nice. It's slightly better now. And then the second buff to the quest rogue is getting the Underbridge Tracker, going from 7 to 6 mana. So yeah, it comes down slightly faster for less mana, and yeah, I mean, it helps the deck, but again, I don't think it's going to be good enough. Having to shuffle those cards 5 times is still too big of a problem, I'd say, for the rogue to really yeah, be worth playing. Then we're going to the Warlock quest, Escape the Underfell. Now you only have to play 5 temporary cards instead of 6, so yeah, it should help it a little bit, because there aren't too many temporary cards, and yeah, having this come down a little bit faster is pretty nice. But again, this was one of the worst performing quests, so we'll see if it suddenly becomes viable. Also, because the Underfell Rift now costs 3 mana instead of 5, the same as the Rogue one. I still would have liked to see this card just be summoned when you complete the quest, but yeah, for 3 mana it's a bit easier to play, so you can actually do something else during the turn than just play this quest. Just like with Rogue, I think it's not quite good enough. The quest is not good enough to be played, but yeah, at least we're on the way to making it playable. So I think this is a good first step, or 2 steps even. Then we have Entomologist Toru going from 9 to 8 mana. Yeah, I think it's still going to be too slow. You don't want to build your deck just around this one card, but yeah, it helps it a little bit, I guess. No, I don't really want this card to be playable, because yeah, if this is playable, it's not going to be the most fun play pattern. Then we have Quest Demon Hunter getting buffed. First of all, we have the Gorishi Wasp here, grown from a 6 mana 2/8 to a 5 mana 2/7, and has Rush. Yeah, why this card didn't have Rush to begin with, that's a very good question, because yeah, it feels like a card that kind of needed Rush. And yeah, with 6 mana, no Rush, it was absolutely awful. Now at 5 mana, it might see some play in the quest Demon Hunter, because the Gorishi Stinger is the 1 mana deal 2 damage, get a 2/1, and yeah, after the quest, That doubles up, of course, so it can either help the quest or just be a good finisher, because yeah, that 4 damage can stack up pretty fast if you have multiple of those cards. So this is nice, might actually see some play now in the quest Demon Hunter. And also the quest itself is getting buffed. Instead of having to deal 2 damage exactly 15 times, it's now 12 times that you need to do it. So yeah, you probably get it like a turn faster. And that's really nice for quests like this. Instead of trying to complete the quest for that one turn, you can actually start winning. And yeah, that's kind of where the deck was lacking. However, just like the other quest, I'm not sure it will be playable, because yeah, there's just not quite enough good deal 2 damage cards to actually win the game. But just like the other quest, this gets it closer to viability. Then we have the Cloud Serpent getting buffed from a 4 mana 4/3 to a 3 mana 3/3. And yeah, I guess you could maybe use this with the Priest quest to copy that reward. And maybe in some other decks now, if you have some insane Elemental or Dragon in your hand by itself, this could be worth it. Maybe even just an Elemental deck where you just keep playing Elementals. So yeah, this is a nice buff to it. So it's actually playable, because yeah, it was actually pretty awkward, right, for 4 mana to play that, compared to like a card like Voon, which had to be buffed to 3 mana and it copied any tribe in your hand. And then the last buff we have here is to the Questing Assistant, going from deal 2 damage to deal 3 damage to a minion. Now, I covered this in my video as well. I would have liked to see this card go to 1 mana and be a 2/2 then, because yeah, for 2 mana, it feels like a little bit too expensive. I think you want to help the quest a little bit more than that with the early game tempo. And yeah, I don't think dealing 3 damage to a minion for 2 mana is really good enough. Also because yeah, playing this means you don't advance the quest. It also doesn't advance the Demon Hunter quest now. So yeah, you don't really want to be playing this unless you really need to. And yeah, I just don't think this is enough to help the quest. So yeah, I think this needed a little bit more of a buff. And yeah, that's all the changes. So yeah, that is quite a lot of changes we went through. So yeah, should be a completely new meta we'll get with the patch, which will be launching within an hour of this video going live. What do you think will be good after patch? Let me know in the comments down below. What do you think will dominate? If you enjoyed the video, make sure to like and subscribe. Thank you for watching, and until next time.